Hey, I'm Geeky Pastimes, and in today's video, quite a long one, I'm going to be giving you advice on how to get your sort of Twitch, streaming, content creation, Twitter channel off the ground and getting an audience. So if you like this video, please do like and subscribe. Go follow me over on all my different platforms. So I'm Geeky Pastimes pretty much everywhere. So Twitch, if you want to see me streaming and you want to ask me any questions, that's a good place. Twitter, if you want kind of gaming news and Call of Duty stuff as I find it, that's the best place for that. And then I'm on basically everything like Instagram, Facebook. I even have a podcast out now, so go check those out. So in today's video, I'm going to look at lots of things that I think might help people who want to get into content creation. And I say content creation because this is more than just streaming. It is kind of focused on people who maybe want to get into Twitch streaming, but as you'll sort of see as I explain everything, if you want to get into Twitch streaming, you kind of have to become a content creator, or at least I think you do anyway. So in this video, we're going to look at whether you should start, so whether you're the sort of person that would enjoy it and would be, able to find success with it. What I think you should do first, how to get to Twitch affiliate, how to sort of like qualify for that, I guess, and what I think you shouldn't do. I'll cover the setup and gear and stuff like that in a separate video, just so I can go into a bit more depth about like each piece and show you all of them. And I am going to, in this video, talk about some of the things that I did that I think definitely didn't help me and things that I messed up on. And I'm also going to talk at the very end about some of the things that helped me the most. So the things that I think I did right and actually got me to the point where I am today. Now, to make it clear, I know I'm still very much near the start of my journey with all this, but I have broken through that first barrier. I've gone from somebody who had no audience on sort of Twitch or YouTube or Twitter, and then I've now got an audience. So when I put something out, people will watch it. People will see the content. Sometimes it might not be very many people. So, some of the videos, I put up 4 videos yesterday, which was a lot for me. Some of those videos got like 70 views, and then some of those videos can get like a couple of thousand views. So there's a massive sort of scale. And when I'm streaming on Twitch at the moment, often I'll have like 10 people watching. And then sometimes if it's a really good stream, it'll go up. I think I had 85 people watching at the peak over the last couple of weeks. So I'm still very much at that low level. But there are people watching my stuff, and that's a really, really hard step to get over. I think people who have gone a lot further maybe forget the difference. I actually saw a tweet of someone today who just broke something like 60,000 subscribers on Twitch, and he started off saying, hey, when I started, I was, in my garage on a chair at my grandma's desk with only 100 followers. And it's like, oh my God. Oh, sorry, only 100 viewers on Twitch. And it's like, my God, like 100 viewers on Twitch. Like, I'd kill to have those kind of numbers. So it's very easy for those kind of bigger channels to forget how hard it is to get from having 0 or like less than 5 people watching your Twitch stream to getting sort of past that and starting to have a little bit of viewing, having people excited about coming to watch you. So for transparency, just so I can sort of give you the numbers so you've got a decent idea of where I am. When I made this video, because I'm hoping this video will stick around for a while, I had 500 followers on Twitch, and that was quite a new thing. I think I got like 70 over the course of the last 2 days. 70 subscribers on Twitch, which I think is quite a lot compared to my number of followers, but that's mostly because there's like 1 or 2 people who gift loads and loads of subs and are incredibly generous. There's not actually 70 people who have chosen to subscribe to me. There's 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. I hit that over the last day or so, I think, and about 4,500 followers on Twitter. A little bit more than that now. I'm sort of heading towards 5,000. So the most important thing that ties all of this together, and the most important thing to take away from this video, so I'll put it right at the front just in case you stop watching and get bored at some point. This is the thing that you should pay attention to. This is the thing you should take away from it. And it's something that I actually learned from Alpha Gaming. And Alpha Gaming's a brilliant channel run by a guy called Harris Heller. He's a really good Twitch streamer. And he does loads of really good advice videos. So you'll see there'll be quite a lot of crossover of stuff I say to what he says. And he's been making videos for a long time. So if you want to go in more depth with some of this stuff, go check him out. But one of the things that really changed the way I made content was something that he said there. And that's that you are the content that people are coming to watch. I always had it in my head that people want to see stuff to do with video games. And I don't think that's true. There's certainly an element of that's the thing that brings people back together. But when someone, say, comes to watch Call of Duty, which a lot of this video is going to talk about, kind of, that's the game that I'm most focused on and most sort of well known for, they've got a choice of literally thousands of people to watch. So just playing Call of Duty isn't enough. They're coming to watch you. You're the thing that you have to sell. You're the thing that you have to advertise. You're the kind of brand, not the game. And that's a completely different way of thinking about everything you do. And I think it's really clear to think very carefully about that. Now, people care a little bit less about the games and even less about how you're playing them. Once you start having people stick around, if a new game comes out, you might get some people come watch to see what the game's like. And they'll normally, in my experience, watch for like 5-10 minutes before they decide whether they like it or not. The people that stick around, the people that chat, the people that engage with stuff, the people that will subscribe, they're the people that are there because they like you. So that's really what you have to think about. Normally, it's because they like you as a person or they find you entertaining. And you always need to focus on that relationship between you and the viewer. That's the most important thing to sort of building a following. And that's the thing that's totally sort of shifted the way I do things on all of my sort of content creation. And I think that's the thing that I have to thank for going from like literally nothing to a tiny bit of a following because of the data mine stuff I was doing and the sort of rumors and leaks and all that kind of thing with Call of Duty, to now having a point where I can stream pretty much any time of the day and I know there'll be a few people come and start watching me. Like, it's because I started focusing a lot more on presenting myself in a certain way and engaging with those viewers. So this guide will focus on pretty much Twitch streaming. Like, that's the main thing. And there's lots of different things that factor into that and lots of different platforms. And I'll talk about other platforms, particularly YouTube and Twitter, as we go. Some of those things might not apply to you if you don't have any interest in streaming or you stream something other than video games, but hopefully quite a lot of this will cross over. So bear with me. If there's bits that you find less interesting, just fast forward like 30 seconds and you'll find something that's good. This will be quite long. And like I said, right at the end of the video, that's when I'll talk about some of the things that are more personal to my experience, because I know they might not transfer to everybody. So the first thing, and this is like before you start streaming, so I'm imagining I'm talking to you and you haven't even tried streaming, you've just got this idea that you would like to do it. The first thing you should do before you set up anything, before you register for any accounts, before you pick a name or anything like that, is you have to decide what makes you special. What makes you someone that people would want to watch? Now, I'm not saying that in a harsh way, as in you think you're special, you're not special. I'm saying that as in you have to identify what that is. And it's something that you can develop. It's not something that you have to be born with. It's not like a natural talent or anything like that. But it's something that you should work on, I think, personally. So if you want to play something like Call of Duty, like I said, there's going to be thousands of people that are watching Call of Duty players, and there's thousands of people streaming Call of Duty to nobody. Those thousands of people that are watching are generally watching very, very few people. If you go to Twitch right now and search by viewers high to low on Call of Duty and scroll down, you'll see it doesn't take you very long to get to channels where there's only like 5 people watching, maybe. Now try it the other way. Search from low to high and then see how long you have to scroll past all those streamers who have no viewers before you get to someone who has 5. It's insane how many people are streaming Call of Duty. So you have to think, what is it that's going to make you one of those people at the top rather than one of those people at the bottom? And it's something, like I said, you really have to work on. So I've split this list into really important factors that in my opinion, you have to have at least one of these. If you've got more than one, that's brilliant, but you have to have at least one. Otherwise, you're just not going to get anywhere. And again, they are things you can develop, so don't panic if you don't have them now, but you need to work on them before you start streaming. And then there's some sort of minor factors, which I don't think if you had that would be enough to get you a following, but it definitely helps a lot if you've got one of the other things as well. So the first thing, this is one of the major factors. You could be amazing at the game. And I don't mean be good at the game. I mean be amazing. I have friends who are good. I have friends who win loads of matches. I have friends who can get ridiculously high kill streaks. They would never get an audience doing that on Twitch because there's so many other people who are better than them. The people who get views on Call of Duty especially are generally professional players. If they're getting views for their skills, that's because they're the sort of people that only play Call of Duty, they play all day, every day, and they are unbelievably good. People like Vicstar, I think, are a good example of this kind of streamer. Someone who people will watch him because they want to see how good he is, and maybe they'll get some tips from him. Maybe they'll just want to be impressed by what he's doing. But his main thing, really, isn't his personality, although it's good and he's, funny and stuff like that. It's because he's such a good player. And you have to be kind of that level of good to get a following just based on how good you are. Now, I'd say in Call of Duty, This is super difficult just because there's so many pro players. Like, there's literally a professional league for people who get paid to play Call of Duty, and loads of them stream, especially at the moment since, we're stuck at home. So that's not necessarily the best place to start, unless you are already incredible at Call of Duty, which you might be. When a new game comes out, that's a really good place to start. So when, say, Halo Infinite comes out, if you started on day one and you decided you had the time and the patience and the commitment to just play Halo and get really, really good at it, that's a potential path to getting viewers. Obviously, with the smaller games, then you've got more of a chance of being one of the best players in the world, but you've also got less people who want to watch you playing that game. So it's a little bit of a sort of gamble. I personally would say this isn't something I would chase after. Unless you're already incredibly good, I wouldn't be like, right, I want to be streaming, I'm going to become the best in the world at this game, because that's like a super difficult thing to do, and it's going to take up so much time just practicing, and it's probably going to kill your enjoyment of that game. So personally, I wouldn't chase after this one. I mean, and it definitely doesn't apply to me. I'm not that good at Call of Duty at all, really. I wouldn't even say, I think I'm probably about average. I wouldn't even say I'm above average, really. Like, we can win games of Warzone, but like lately I don't think I've won a game for the last week. So definitely not why people watch me. Now the second factor that could make people come watch you, and that's to be entertaining. So players like Dr. Disrespect's a really good example of this, can get away with not being the best at the game. Dr. Disrespect, for all this sort of, going on about how he's 2 times champion and all that sort of thing, isn't an incredible player. He's good, he's definitely a lot better than me, but he's not the best player in the world. In fact, it makes it more entertaining that he talks as if he is, and then he tends to not do very well in lots of tournaments and things like that. But the thing that makes people watch him is because he's a good entertainer. Now, I don't mean you need to be funny. This is different. You can be funny, that's one of the ways of being entertaining, but really, it's more than that. You definitely shouldn't even be screaming down the mic and stuff like that. I think that's something that's sort of that phase past, that people don't really want to see too much of that anymore. People like Dr. Disrespect don't just tell jokes. Like, Dr. Disrespect isn't about being funny, it's about being entertaining. He's created a character, he's got kind of a gimmick that he goes for and he's gone all in on, and that works really well. And there's a few Twitch streamers who do this incredibly well. Like, right from the beginning, they pick a gimmick and they go for it. And people who are good at drama can do this. People who can create a character and stick to it and be in role and improvise, that's really, really good. Some people can be entertaining because they're incredibly funny to watch. They're just funny people to watch. That's really cool too. Some people have a good group of friends. If you're part of a good group and everyone's talking all the time and they're a lot of fun to be around and they're really chatty and making lots of jokes, that's pretty good. And I'm sort of like a little bit in this category, I think. I hate acting. I'm way too shy to be an actor. But I can tell a story. Like, I can tell people, and I tell people stories on streams all the time, just stuff that's happened to me, because I'm a bit older than a lot of streamers. I think probably more has happened to me. So I've got lots of stories I can tell people. And when I'm playing with my friends and stuff, we can be pretty funny. So that works well, and that gets some people to stick around because they like the sort of little in-jokes and things like that. Like, that's pretty cool. But when you're doing it, you can't just expect it to happen. You actually have to make an effort. When I'm playing with my friends and I'm streaming, I'll probably be doing stupid stuff more often and trying to say funny things more often or trying to tell stories more often. It's not something where you can just be like, hey, yeah, people like me, they'll enjoy watching me stream. You actually have to make an effort to be more entertaining. You have to be conscious of it. I find a lot of the time that I'll go on stream and I realise I'm not being that entertaining because I'm not really feeling it. I'm just not in the best mood. I'm in a quiet mood, and then I'll just stop the stream because I'll be like, this isn't really working. You need to sort of consider how to be entertaining. And just think of it in terms of putting on a show, that it is essentially putting on a show, just an incredibly long show that's 90% improvised. And, I'm sure some people, like Dr. Disrespect again, actually script stuff and set stuff up before, because that's what makes it entertaining, and that's what makes him, so high quality, and that's what gets him such a big following. It's a lot of work, and that's one of the big things that goes through all of this, that you're not going to become a famous Twitch streamer just by playing video games and having the stream turned on. That's not how this works at all. All of these things require work. Now, the third way that I think the third sort of factor you can have that I think could make you really, really successful with streaming is if you've got a unique selling point, if you've got something about you that other people don't have. Now, this is the one that I think most people should probably aim for, trying to think of an angle that other people don't have. So maybe you're not that good at the game, you're not that funny, you're a little bit shy, stuff like that. That's kind of the position I was in when I started streaming, that I didn't really like talking on stream that much. I'm not particularly good at the game, but I just wanted to stream. I didn't really have anything else. But what I did have, and it took me a while to realize the value of this, is that when I would see people trying to hype stuff up on Twitter and trying to sort of spread rumors and stuff like that, I think I had quite a cynical mind about all of it, and I could think through things a little bit more clearly than maybe some people could. And I'm very quick to learn things, and sort of I'm willing to research things a little bit. So I sort of learned to sort of, when people were talking about data mines and stuff, I was like, oh, what's that? And I learned how to do it myself, so I could sort of double check the things that other people were saying to see if they were lying to me, and found out some people were either making mistakes or lying. And that was the thing that sort of kicked off everything, was the fact that I was doing something that most other people weren't. Most other people will just hear these rumours and leaks and assume they're coming from some, insider source or something like that. Whereas I was willing to scratch a little bit below the surface, and then that meant I had something worth saying, something that people wanted to listen to, something like a unique take on things. And then because I've done that enough now, I sort of know enough about that side of Call of Duty, and it's only one small side of Call of Duty, but I know enough about that I have people, much bigger people than me, Who is Immortal and Prestigious Key and people like that, and Exclusive Ace, mentioning me because there's something that makes me stand out from other people. And that's a big deal. So if you can find something that makes you stand out, that's brilliant. It doesn't have to be like, data mining and stuff like that. It could be something that like you're really good with, like vehicles in the game, that you've decided you're really going to focus on one element of the game and sort of learn everything there is to know about that. It could be something where you are maybe doing something in a slightly like unusual way. So I've seen people who play with disabilities who use sort of the adaptive controllers, and that's something that people find really, really interesting, and that makes them unique. I've seen people who are willing to constantly set themselves different challenges and things like that, and try to challenge themselves to win the game in different ways. That could be something unique. But just try to find something where people might actually search for the thing that you're doing, and not many other people do it. And I'm not saying nobody else is doing it. That's super hard to find something that nobody else can do, but something that you can do maybe better than other people or differently to other people would be really, really good. So all of those things, I'd say those three things, so being really good at the game, being entertaining, or having something unique about you, you need one of those things. And if you're sitting there now thinking, yeah, none of those apply to me, I'd say you're going to really struggle to find an audience. No one's going to come to want to watch you if you don't have anything to offer them. And you always need to think about what value you're providing to them. That's something else Alpha Gaming always talk about, providing value to your audience. You have to have something to offer to them. So try to develop one of those things. Think about, if you're good at drama, if you're confident, you're good at role playing, could you make a character that would be really fun to watch? Was that something you'd enjoy doing? If you are really good at a game already, maybe think, could you stream that game and show people how amazing you are at it? Or if you've got something unique, or you could develop something unique, you've got an idea. Maybe you've searched for something and you thought, why is nobody else doing this? Why can't I find anyone doing this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you fill that gap? So these next set of things are things that are maybe less important. I don't think these by themselves would help you find success, but alongside those first three would definitely help a lot. So the first one is having great production values. And this goes back to Alpha Gaming. If you care about production values in your stream and in your videos, Alpha Gaming is the place to go. Amazing setups, amazing gear, loads of really good advice for how to do it on a range of different budgets. Harris Heller has one of the highest production value streams other than like maybe Dr. Disrespect, but he's also spent tens of thousands of dollars achieving that. If you have high production values, people are more likely to take you seriously. I don't think it will help them discover you in the first place, but if they do see you, they might stick around, so they'll be like, oh, this is fun to watch. Same thing as, you might not watch a TV station where the image is all rubbish, or you might not watch a YouTube video if the sound is all scratchy. If you find a stream where everything's set up just right, you're more likely to stick about. This can cost a lot of money. Like, getting good production values, I would say it's fairly cheap to get all right production values, and then to step up a little bit to make it kind of good ends up costing you a few £100s, up to £1,000 maybe, and then to have amazing production values, you're looking at spending tens of thousands. So there's really diminishing returns. I'll talk in my gear setup one about some of the things that you can do to make your stream or your videos a lot better for not very much money, but beware, I wouldn't chase after production values as the only thing. That's not by itself going to make people want to watch you. I would say like some things I've done have made a big difference, and I'll talk about that later. But some things I've done, some things I've bought have cost quite a lot of money and ended up not really making any difference. So no one else watches me because I've spent all of that money. So the second thing, and something that does apply to me a bit better, I think, is having a good voice. I'm lucky that I'm a really big guy, and so I've got quite a deep voice, and I don't have much of an accent, so I'm quite clear. I'm a teacher as well, so I spend a lot of time trying to make my voice as clear as possible, and it's something I have to think about. Like, I do mumble quite a lot in real life, and I try not to do that on stream. If you've got a voice that's kind of annoying, I'm sorry, but I don't think people are going to watch you. And you can work on it. If you've got a voice where you know you mumble a lot, or you know you've got a really thick accent, or you know sometimes you have a tendency, you know, to breathe really loudly or something like that, you can learn to control it, but it requires a lot of effort. If you've got a really good voice, it's not enough to have a good voice. People aren't going to watch you just for that, but it will help, and people might remember you a little bit better if you've got a really good voice for it. And there's quite a lot of sort of training things to do. If you look at any videos on YouTube about how to enunciate clearly, or if you look at anything to do with singing, that really, really helps, like controlling your diaphragm and stuff, like posture. I'm actually a bit slouched over right now. But things like that can really, really help you. And some people, you know, are loud and enthusiastic, and that's what they want. That's what viewers want to see. And sometimes people are a bit more like me and a bit chilled and laid back. And sometimes that's what I want to see. You know, if I go on Twitch, I always look for someone who's talking a lot, but in a pretty chilled out way, and someone who I enjoy listening to. So that's helpful. So the third thing, and this is something you probably already knew, is to be good looking. Now, this is something that's completely regardless of gender. Doesn't matter who you are, but if you're more attractive, people are going to enjoy watching you. Now, this is obviously something that I struggle with, because while my voice, me being a big guy, helps, doesn't help so much with this. Being a bald big guy, not the most attractive. But there are things you can do to help with this. So things like, I see some streamers go live and like they haven't had a wash. They're wearing like really old clothes. I mean, I've actually been out in the garden digging up a tree just before I filmed this. So I'm probably not the best example right now. But look after yourself. Just make sure your clothes are clean, that you've had a shower before you go on stream, that you are, you know, looking after your teeth, trying to look after your skin, things like that. Just try to do what you can to practice good hygiene. It'll help you in life anyway. But if you do all those things and like do bits of exercise and try and eat right and stuff like that, people will want to be around you more. And that applies to real life just as much as it does on streaming. People will want to watch you more if you're slightly better looking. And you know, not everyone's blessed with amazing good looks, but that doesn't mean you can't at least try to present yourself well. So I do what you can to try and make yourself as attractive as possible, as bad as that sounds. And that doesn't mean like trying to be like, I don't know what word is, like provocative. I don't mean that at all. I just mean like try to be the sort of person that people would want to hang out with. And part of that is aesthetic. And that's, you know, shallow maybe, but I think it's true. And the fourth one of these kind of minor factors is to try and be knowledgeable on a wide range of subjects, not just the game you're playing. When you're streaming, it's incredibly long and there's often downtime where stuff that's not very exciting is happening in the game, or you're in a loading screen, or you just died and you're waiting for your team to bring you back or something like that. It's really helpful to be able to talk about whatever your chat wants to talk about. So being able to react to what they're going on about. So knowing stuff about current events and pop culture is really helpful. That doesn't mean you should be super opinionated about politics and religion and stuff like that. I don't think that helps. That sort of sets a weird atmosphere and you don't know who's going to be watching you, so you don't want to wind someone up the wrong way. But it's really helpful to be able to talk about the things that they're talking about. So just try to be, you know, again, this is a good like hint for life anyway. Pay attention to the news. Pay attention to what's going on around the world, not just in your country. Like travel when you can. Just try and do what you can to find out more about other places. And if people in your chat are talking about something you don't know anything about, ask them about it. Try to find out about it. People love talking about themselves. So try to sort of like, I always find it really interesting when people from other countries are in my chat. Because then I can ask them about their countries, ask them about theme parks in their country, because that's my thing. Stuff like that I think is really interesting. And really like, it's more engaging for an audience if they're sort of, they look to you as someone that's going to have a valuable opinion on stuff. And like I said, don't push your opinion too far, but it's always good if you can at least hold a conversation about pretty much anything. Try not to seem too much like a know-it-all. Like, don't always be there correcting people and stuff like that. Just try to like make sure you can engage, maybe. So, all of this done, you've decided what makes you special, you've decided what you have to offer an audience, you understand why people would want to watch you. If you haven't got that far, I would stop now. I would go back and work on that first. There's no point moving on from that step and doing any work or spending any money if you haven't done that first. So I would spend some time practicing your skills, try to work on one of those categories until you're confident, yeah, there's something about me that people would want to watch. There's something about me that people would want to search for. And that's really important. If you wouldn't watch yourself, then why would anyone else want to watch you? I know that's dangerously close to a RuPaul quote. I don't want to go there. But that's a good rule of thumb. Like, think about, would you watch your streams? And if not, then there's something you need to change before you get streaming. So once you've done all of that, the next step is to decide what platform you're going to create content on. For the rest of this guide, we're going to focus on the stuff that I do. So that's kind of Twitch and Twitter and YouTube. And I've got a lot more knowledge, and I'm going to talk about Call of Duty. So I'm going to assume you're sort of streaming Call of Duty on Twitch. That's what we're going to be talking about. So what's the first step? Before you post anything at all, take a photo of yourself as high res as you can. So your camera's probably fine. Your sort of phone camera is probably fine for this. And use GIMP to recolor it if you want. If you've got a color that you like, I think it's quite effective to have color. I kind of use sort of pinks and purples. Try to have a color that you quite like and maybe recolor the profile picture to look that color. I actually just use some hue lighting that I have to make it that color, and have your face in it. And try to be likable. So I wouldn't go for like sulky and edgy looks. I'd go for either like a smile or a silly face. That seems to be the best way. I sort of went for a silly face, as you can see on my profile picture. Just getting that decent photo, make it the right color, and then I would have it in high res in a square file. That will help you loads later if you can edit it into a square file or get someone to help you. Don't mess with the aspect ratio, just crop it to be a square. The reason for that is, even though cameras take photos in rectangles, nearly everything online seems to want you to have a square image. So it will help you a lot later if you have that ready to go. Then sign up to Twitter, YouTube and Twitch with a new account. You don't want all of your sort of past messages and history and all of the things that you've sort of failed attempts to do, whatever. You don't want that stuff showing up when people look for you. You want something fresh that you have complete control over, like a brand. So pick a name. Now, when you pick a name, make sure that every time you start an account with it, you use exactly the same spelling. Don't put numbers after it or anything like that. If you've got two words, like I do with Geeky Pastimes, decide if you're just going to push the two words together, like I do with Geeky Pastimes, or if you're going to use an underscore or a hyphen. Bear in mind, some platforms might not let you do that. But you want people, if they find you, to be able to find you on other platforms. That's super important. Try to keep it consistent and try to make sure it's not too similar to any other big content creators or games. You know, if you started something up called Call of Duty streams, no one's ever going to find you, because when they search Call of Duty streams, they're going to find everything else that's more popular than you first. Like, if I Google Geeky Pastimes, I seem to find lots of things about me, which is really, really good, and that's really powerful, because that means a lot of people find my YouTube channel just by searching in YouTube Geeky Pastimes. And if I had a name that was sort of less unique, then they would find loads of other stuff first, which would be a problem. So try to make sure you've got the same name, spelled the same way for absolutely everything. And try to make it, something that's a little bit unique that will show up in searches. Like, try not to use words that are often put together if you use two words. You can use your name, that's fine. I would often change your name a little bit. So maybe don't use your real name, just to make it a little bit trickier for people who have a problem with you to find out who you are. But it's entirely up to you. Try to keep the same color scheme for all of the platforms as well. Like, when you're signing up with Twitch or YouTube or anything, if it lets you choose colors for accents and things like that, try to use the same one, because then when people are searching for you, they will actually recognize you via the color quite easily. You sort of stand out a little bit. So if your whole color scheme is green, they'll look for the one that's kind of your name and is green. So that's really, really helpful. I wouldn't worry too much about cover images and background images and things like that. If you do want to do them, canva.com is a really helpful website. I'll try and put all of these links in the description below of all the websites I talk about. Canva.com is free. You can make loads and loads of stuff on there. I use it free. I use it for all my thumbnails, and it's super easy to use. So that's quite good. And they have the kind of templates set up for all the different sizes you need for different social media platforms. But yeah, personally, profile picture matters a lot. Background and cover art, I don't think that matters that much at all, really. Then set up the gear you have. Don't buy too much. You need a webcam, you need a microphone, and you need headphones. That's pretty much it. I assume you've got a console or a computer that you can already stream with. If you're going to be streaming directly from the console, make sure you've got a camera that console can use, because you need your face on it. If you've got a PC, whatever you're playing games on, you can probably stream from it. It might not be the best quality now, but that doesn't really matter, to be honest, when you're starting. I don't think there's that many people that click away from a stream because it's 720p rather than 1080p, or because it's 30 frames a second rather than 60 frames a second. I'm sure there's some, but not that many. Much more important is that you have sort of your stuff working and you haven't invested too much money into it before you know if you like it, and when you don't really know what you want to buy. So your stream might not be the prettiest at first, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. I would say you definitely need your face on stream. I started off not doing that, and I think that was a mistake. I think you should always have your face on stream because, as I said, you're the content, you're the thing that they care about, not the game. I know there's some people like Jack Frags who get away without it. I think they're the exception more than anything. I think maybe they've been around for long enough that they've just built up the following over a very long time, or they've got something else unique to offer people. But I would definitely recommend having your face on camera as much as possible, and that's in YouTube videos as well as on Twitch. It's kind of part of the reason I'm doing this video. But you don't need to spend loads and loads of money to set all this stuff up. I would try to go for stuff that's very cheap, and I'll talk about that more in a gear video. It's also helpful if you've got somewhere in your house where you can comfortably stream and set everything up. Like, I'm in my living room right now because my wife's very understanding, but a lot of people find it easier with a chair and a desk somewhere, in a spare room or in a bedroom, somewhere like that. Some people, just in a corner of the living room, in a hallway. You don't really need much space, especially if you've got quite a narrow angle camera. So I would just try to find somewhere where you can set stuff up and leave it there and not have to take it down all the time. That would be really useful. So now you've got all your accounts set up, you've got all your gear set up, and you're ready to start streaming. Yep. No, don't start streaming yet. That's really important, because if you're a brand new account and you start streaming straight away, no one's going to watch you. Like, you're going to have 0 viewers, and that's rubbish. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you, it's just because no one's going to be able to find you. Twitch is a platform on which it's incredibly hard to discover anyone, and you're not going to get discovered on there, especially if you're playing something massive like Call of Duty. So instead, you have to start somewhere else. It's also really important that you don't stream for 0 viewers, because to get affiliate, which is something obviously a lot of people want, because it lets you start making money on Twitch and lets you enable features like bits and subscriptions and stuff like that, you need to have an average of 3 viewers for, like, I think it's 28 days. That's pretty tricky if you've got loads and loads of streams where you've got 0 viewers. So I would not stream to 0 viewers. Basically ever. If you're ever streaming to 0 viewers, and if you've been streaming like 5-10 minutes and it's still on 0, just stop. Don't bother. So what should you do instead? First thing is make content. I would say YouTube's the best place to start. Guide videos are something anyone can do. To be honest, the quality of the guides doesn't matter that much. People will watch any guide videos, really. If you're not that good at something, just make them funny. Just do guides on how to do something dumb, how to do the biggest jump in a car on Warzone, or how to do things like how to speedrun some part of the game, how to get from one corner of the map to the other the quickest. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But make content. People will watch it, especially if you're making it about stuff like Call of Duty. While on Twitch, doing Call of Duty stuff is maybe actually a bad thing because it's much harder to get views. On YouTube, it's a very good thing because loads of people search for Call of Duty videos. I wouldn't make compilation videos because that's pretty terrible. Like, no one seems to want to watch those sorts of things unless you're amazing. So I wouldn't just put together loads of your gameplay and say, hey, look, this is me playing the game. Instead, I'd do something that people will actually search for. So yeah, like funny tips and tricks, debunking myths, trying stuff out, guides to specific weapons are really good, because then if people try to search for, okay, how do you get gold on a shield, your video might come up. And especially if it's a weapon that you don't think many other people have covered. So like in Call of Duty right now, doing stuff on some of the LMGs and marksman rifles that aren't the sort of in the meta at all, so not the Bruin and the Kar 98, but any of the others, that might be something that would be really good. And when new weapons come out, that's a really good time to make videos about stuff. Whenever there's a content release, try to make a video really quickly about something. That's what I do. A lot of my best performing videos are because I get a video up super quickly after a patch. So that sort of stuff is really powerful to do. So get those videos out there. And when you're doing guides or anything, try to get your face on screen as much as possible. Even if it's just an introduction, get your face up there. Don't worry about if you've got flashy intro music or a logo or anything like that. You don't need any of that stuff when you're starting. It doesn't really get you more views. What you need is to get your face out there and get your voice out there. Just get people to start being like, hey, I like this person. I want to hang out with them. I want to watch their stuff. That's what you're aiming for. And you want to associate that with the name of your channel, which is going to be the same name as it is on Twitch. So do that. Don't clickbait people either. Like, there's a difference between doing a sort of really sort of enticing title and clickbait. Clickbait, to my mind, is when you lie to get views. If you do that, yes, that video might get some more views than usual, but those people will see you as a liar and they won't come back. And they won't want to watch you streaming. So try to avoid clickbait. Maybe make your thumbnails or your like name something where it's kind of a bit of mystery to it. I'm not very good at that. I just tend to put the whole thing in it. But try to do that a little bit. And then hopefully people will start watching your videos over time. And it might take some time, but like if you keep on doing stuff, eventually you'll like find something that like hooks people's attention. I would say try and upload sort of as much as you can, like try to do 3-4 videos a week every day if you can. That's amazing. I sort of went a bit overboard yesterday and did 4 videos. That was maybe too many, but yeah, try to get a lot of videos out there, because it's kind of, you know, casting a very wide net. Something's gonna grab people's attention. To make the videos, I'd use DaVinci Resolve. It's completely free. There is a paid version, but I don't use it. I just use the free version for all of these videos, and it's brilliant. If you need help with it, there's a YouTube channel called Mr. Alex Tech. Really, really good. That's where I learned nearly everything I know about DaVinci Resolve. And he also puts up loads of stuff for free regularly, where you can download like transitions and things like that. So really, really cool. DaVinci Resolve, you don't need any expensive video editing software at all. It's really powerful and it's pretty easy to use. It took me like literally half a day to learn how to use it to make a decent video. And it's really powerful, so I'm still learning new stuff all the time. While you're making videos and uploading them really, really regularly, get on Twitter and try to get involved in a community you want to be a part of. That doesn't mean spam your YouTube videos to them. It means replying to people's comments, when people ask questions, giving them answers, liking stuff, retweeting stuff, doing stuff like that. And then on your own Twitter, post links to your videos. So people who like your replies, like your comments, like you, they might go on your Twitter, they might follow you, and then they'll see your videos and start checking it out. I would say I don't get that many views on YouTube from Twitter. Like, it's surprising considering I do talk about my videos quite a lot. I get way more views from searches in YouTube than I do from Twitter recommendations. But Twitter's the place where I've kind of built up my brand the most. That's where people interact with me the first time, most of the time. So it's really, really important to sort of make yourself someone who you, again, it's your brand, someone who you would like to hang out with, someone who you would like to watch. So don't spam people, don't annoy people, don't like hate on people, and don't be annoying to anyone. Just try to be a decent person and get involved, like genuinely get involved in the community. Don't do it as like I'm just doing this to get viewers. Do it as in you actually want to be part of that community, so get involved. You know, there's loads of people now who on Twitter I follow and they follow me, and I really enjoy hearing what they have to say and I enjoy chatting to them about stuff. That's really cool. So try to do stuff like that. Now, when you're doing all of that, like I said, try as best you can to keep your reputation pretty high. If you're posting stuff on Reddit or on Discord, don't post your own content. Like, unless there's a real exception. If you've got something first and you want everyone to know that you got it first, then maybe do it. But I would say do that once a month, maybe at the very most. I try to avoid posting any of my stuff on Reddit now because people really hate it on Reddit. So yeah, try your best to not post your own stuff everywhere because it's just seen as spam. You have to kind of have faith that if people like you and people enjoy like interacting with you, that they will come find your stuff. And you can always let people know, if you're part of a community already, let them know that you do stuff. Say, hey, I've got a YouTube channel, I've done a video about that. That's really powerful. I do that on Discord quite a lot, but I sort of don't tend to post stuff myself. I sometimes, I appreciate it if other people post that stuff. That's super cool. And that looks a little bit less annoying than if you do it yourself. So once you're doing all this, so you've got your videos going, you've got Twitter going, you're maybe starting to get a few followers, starting to get a few subscribers on YouTube, set up your stream and just stream to your friends for now. So just check with a friend, do 1 or 2 streams where you check all of your gears working, the sound's good, the picture's good, everything like that. Like I said, I will do a video where I show you my OBS settings, but I use Open Broadcast software, which is really cool piece of software, completely free again for streaming. You don't need a flashy overlay or anything like that, but if you want, you can use Stream Elements or Streamlabs. I don't really like Streamlabs' version of OBS, but Stream Elements is really good. So you can use that and just download their OBS plugin, make an account, and they'll sort loads of stuff out for you, and you'll get cool free overlays and all kinds of stuff like that. But set all that stuff up with a friend before you start advertising your stream, just so you get all that awkward stuff where things aren't working out of the way with someone you actually know who can give you honest feedback, rather than doing it, when you've had a video make it big and then suddenly you're trying to stream and it's a nightmare. don't use Restream, I would say. Like, it's fine if you want to stream on Twitch or you want to stream on YouTube or you want to stream on Facebook. They've all got their bonuses. Twitch is super hard to get found on, but it's got a massive ceiling because there's so many people watching. YouTube, it's much easier to get found on, and you're probably more likely to get donations because super chats are really easy to use. But I think YouTube's really annoying to stream on. The event system's the right pain, especially if your stream goes down. You sort of have to start up a new stream and then you lose all of your viewers from the first one, which is really annoying. Facebook, I think, is probably the easiest one to get found on, but you're going to have the problem that there's not that many people watching stuff on Facebook all the time, and people probably aren't going to take you as seriously if you say you're a Facebook streamer rather than like YouTube or Twitch. But yeah, don't use Restream. While it sounds great that it sort of streams you out to all of them at once, you're splitting up your audience across lots of different platforms, so they can't necessarily communicate with each other as well as they would normally, and it kind of makes you look desperate. Twitch, actually, as an affiliate, you're not allowed to do it either. It's sort of against their terms of service, but it makes you look like sort of you're really desperate for views, and you always want to give people the impression that you deserve people's views, that you're providing them a service rather than them doing you a favor by coming to watch you. You always want to give the impression that you're providing value to them and that, you know, you've done them a favor by inviting them to come watch you. And if you're on Restream, it makes it look like you'll do anything you can to try and get views. So I wouldn't do that. Now, you've got a stream ready, you're probably getting a few views on the videos. Start adding a call to action to your YouTube videos. Start at the beginning. Don't do this until you've got your stream set up and you're ready to go. But start doing a thing at the beginning of your videos where you say, hey, if you want to watch me, and bear in mind, they've seen your face, they've heard your voice, they want to interact with you. Be like, hey, if you want to watch me, come check me out on Twitch at Geeky Pastimes. That's where I am. And that will work much better than anything else you can do for Twitch. I get quite a lot of people come over from YouTube over to Twitch just to check me out, and try to make sure you're streaming fairly regularly. Not every day, I wouldn't bother doing that because streaming takes forever and it's super tiring, and if you're streaming to not many people, it's not helping you at all. Even if you're streaming to quite a lot of people, it doesn't help you grow your audience very much. I would stick to like 3 times a week or so, 3-4 times a week. I probably stream too much, to be honest. And just try to, you know, for the first few weeks, maybe try and ask a few of your friends to lurk on your channel so you've always got at least 3 viewers so you can get that Twitch affiliate eventually. Just try and keep at least 3 viewers, and then hopefully you'll get some people come over from your videos, come over from YouTube, come over from Twitter. You'll get a few people, and once you get some people come in and they say hi in a chat, always ask people to say hi in a chat so you know who they are, you see their names. Make sure you start talking to them. Engage with every single viewer you get. Especially in those early days, every single viewer matters. So talk to them, find out a little bit about them, chat to them, ask them how they are, and listen to them. Like, actually engage with them. Try to remember them. If they come back, be like, hey, you're back, that's awesome. Try to build up that relationship, because that's the thing that really matters, especially as a smaller streamer. The relationship with your viewers is super important, and I'm really lucky that that's gone really well for me, that I've got a really cool community who come watch me stream, and I actually enjoy my streams a lot more because I've always got these people who I look forward to talking. When I go online, I'm like, oh yeah, I really hope that like Raven's on, or I hope that like Ninja Tux is on, or Versus, or Coltec, or Lucky Lamaleo, or all those people. Sorry, people that I didn't mention, there's a million of you. There's not a million, I wish there was a million, but there's a lot of names. And I look forward to seeing those people. You know, I look forward to chatting to them. And that's really cool, that's really powerful. So try to get into that kind of thing where you genuinely want to talk to these people. If you're just doing it because you want them to stick around to subscribe to you, then you're not going to enjoy it and it's probably not going to work. People aren't going to be fooled. But try to, like, you know, put yourself out there a little bit to actually kind of basically make friends with these people, and do what you can for them. Now, I'm going to go through, for the last part of this video, I'm going to talk about some of the mistakes I made and some of the things I did really well. So there's 2 more sections to this. The mistakes I made are, there's many, and I'll try to sort of be as candid as I can about them. And then for the last part of the video, I'll talk about some of the things I did, I think some of the best things I did, and how that might help you. So for the mistakes I made, let's start off with the first one. Don't spam your videos. I've already talked about this a little bit, but don't go to Reddit or Discord or Twitter and spam your videos on other people's channels. If you've got your own channel, brilliant. If you've got your own Discord, fine. If you've got your own Twitter, put it on your own Twitter. Do not do it to other people. You don't, it seems like it makes sense. Like, if you want more viewers, these people have big platforms. You could use those platforms to get eyes on your stuff. it doesn't really work like that. I know, I'm not entirely sure why, but basically hardly anyone ever clicks those. If you just say, hey, check out my YouTube, like I get people in my YouTube comments, I probably will on this video, someone saying, hey, great video, come check out my YouTube, and I just post a link to their YouTube. I'm willing to bet no one clicks those links. Like, it's really, really annoying when people do that to you, and no one's going to click them, so all it's doing is damaging your credibility. When I first started out, before I had any kind of following, I used to go on Reddit and post all my videos on subreddits I thought were interesting, and I think I probably got shadow banned from a bunch of subreddits. All it did was harm my credibility on Reddit, to the point where, like, my account doesn't really have any credibility on Reddit. No one's going to be like, oh, hey, it's this guy, I wonder what he's got to say. Everyone's going to be like, oh, he's just spamming links again. So that's really bad. And on Twitter, I made a conscious effort to only post my videos on my stuff, or if it was directly relevant to a conversation somewhere else. So like when I posted a video like debunking something that someone else had said, I could actually post it in their thing to be like, hey, I don't think this is true, this is why. But still, I do that very sparingly. I've done that like twice ever, I think. So try not to spam them anywhere. It's just going to annoy people. All that's going to happen is you're going to get maybe like 5 extra views, but then there's going to be like 50 people who might have checked you out somewhere else, but now when they see your name, they'll be like, oh, it's that person who spams their stuff. They're desperate for views, they're not worth my time. So don't do it. Second thing is, don't whine or beg for support or views. I've definitely been guilty of this. I think I'm still guilty of this sometimes. It's really easy to get frustrated with having low viewer numbers, especially if you have like an early peak. Like I had one of my first streams that did really well, got 150 viewers on YouTube, and then since then I regularly have streams where I have 9 viewers. And I sometimes get in this sort of bad mental state where I'm like complaining to the people who are there to watch me, the people who are actually doing the thing I want them to do, and I'm complaining to them about the fact that other people aren't watching me. And that's sort of just stupid. It makes such a horrible negative atmosphere. It comes across as really desperate. It's really annoying. And it makes you seem like you're worthless to those people. Not worthless, but worth less to those people because you're being like that. So even when you've only got like 5 viewers, talk as if you've got 500. Like, just keep acting the way you would when you've made it. Sort of fake it till you make it kind of thing, I think works really well. Because that confidence is worth way more. People don't want to see someone whining about low viewer numbers. So don't do it. And I need to make sure I don't do that again. Sometimes I just get really wound up, if like someone else makes the same video as me basically, or mentions one of my videos, they get tens of thousands of views and I get much less. It's easy to think, well, that's not fair. But it is, because they've established a channel, they've established a brand, they've spent years working on their stuff. That's why they've got all those views. You whining about it isn't going to make people come see you out of pity. That's not something people really do. Next thing is, don't badmouth other people in the community. And again, I've definitely been guilty of this, kind of related to the last point. When I have people using stuff that I've made for other things or using stuff that I've found, I think I've been guilty in the past of acting as if they've done something wrong, which they haven't. They're news sites, like that's absolutely fine for them to do it. Or when people have said things that I think are wrong, I've talked about them on stream or I've talked about them on Twitter. And that just makes a sort of weird aura of negativity. A lot of people watching you are probably fans of those other people. And that's something that sort of like all you're doing is making them sort of annoyed at you because you're probably talking about someone who they've liked longer than they've liked you. So just don't bother doing it. Like, of course, if someone does something really like objectively terrible, if people are racist or sexist or transphobic or something like that, of course, call them out on it. But it's much more positive to focus on yourself as much as you can. You don't have to put up with someone who is being horrific, but you also don't have to go on about it. Just focus on you and talking about yourself and being as positive as possible. Try not to focus on other people. Or to focus on building people up who you do like other streamers that you do like. That's much more exciting and much more entertaining for people than just hearing you slate other people. The next one is another one I've been guilty of. Don't pester the big names. So when I first started getting mentioned by some of the biggest names in Call of Duty content creation, it immediately went to my head and I started messaging them as if they were my friends, saying like, hey, can you give me a shout out? Can you put this link in? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like, they don't owe me anything. That was nonsense. That was just annoying them. That's just winding them up. All it's going to do is annoy them and make them less likely to want to do anything with me in future. Don't think of those people as necessarily better than you, but do respect the time and effort they've put into developing their brand. They've worked on that for years and they've earned something. you're just starting out. So if they offer you something, if they mention you, be appreciative, because that's awesome. But don't beg for more. Just be happy that it happened in the first place. You want those people to be on your side, because then they're more likely to recommend you to people in future. And that's really, really powerful. Like when someone like Who is Immortal says like, hey, check out Geeky Pastimes, I'll get a bunch more viewers from that. And it kind of gives me a bit more credibility. If I keep pestering someone like that, then they're very unlikely to recommend me to people, because they're going to be like, oh, that guy's the worst. So don't do that. Similarly, I mean, even with like my very, very, very low level of fame within the community, I get people sometimes demanding private messages all the time. And it's like, then when they private message me, it's actually like nothing important. They could have just said it in a public message. Stuff like that does take up time, especially when you've got like 20, 30 people doing it. So just be a bit respectful of other people's time and stuff. Like if you've got something that's really important and you think they would care about, then by all means message people, but maybe don't like think about it first. Don't spam them. Now, next one, don't spend money to make money straight away. Making money on this is incredibly difficult. Only the very smallest percent, I'd say probably less than 1% of Twitch streamers actually can make enough to make a living of this. In fact, I'm sure it's probably much less than 1%. If you spend money on the project, on making yourself a content creator, on a streamer, do it being aware that you're probably not going to make anything back. That money's probably gone. So things like PC components that you were going to buy anyway, if you needed a new PC anyway, you wanted it to play games, fine, because then you've got the value from it anyway, and it will help you with your stream. Stuff like lighting and cameras and stuff like that, I would say I wouldn't spend money on that until you're pretty confident that you're already making a decent income. I'm at the moment about £1,000 worse off from streaming. Like, you know, I added up all the stuff that I've spent and all the stuff that I've earned, and I'm about £1,000 in the red. Luckily, I'm in a position where I can afford that, and that's okay. But it is stuff like I've bought a lot of stuff that I probably didn't need to. You know, I bought a camera the other day to like make the quality of stuff like this much better. It cost me £400, and I ended up returning it. I ended up taking it back. So I was like, this is definitely not worth it. It's not going to make me any more money. My phone's actually all right for this. I'm just recording this on my phone. So don't do it. Don't get yourself into trouble and spend money that you can't afford thinking that it's an investment, because chances are you're not going to see that money again. Then the next one, and kind of related to that, is don't just focus on the money. For your first year at least, you're going to try and build an audience. And that's all that matters. That's the only thing that matters, is building that audience up. Nagging people for subs, super chats, donations, merch sales, anything like that is just going to make the people that want to watch you for free not interested anymore. And you need that audience. Like earning an extra like 50 quid or so now from like begging people for donations, trying to encourage people to give you donations, isn't worth it if you end up losing out on like 50 followers who would have carried on watching you for free, because building up a big audience is much more important. Then you can monetize later, and I think monetizing is definitely something that I want to do, and you know, I'm exploring different ways of doing it, but just trying to get people to give you money for the sake of it is probably not worth it. And think about what value you're providing for other people. Like think about, if people give you money, what are they getting in return? Because if they're just giving it to you as like a charity case, that's probably not sustainable, and not many people are going to want to carry on doing that. I've definitely been guilty of this. Like, you know, Vaping Viking did a really generous donation where he gave me like $200 in one of my sort of earlier streams, really. And then I was just like completely went to my head, and then I was almost disappointed in streams if I didn't make much money. So don't let that happen to you. Don't get carried away with stuff like that. Don't start nagging your viewers for money. Just try to accept that you're there for fun to begin with, and you're there to try and encourage more people to watch you. And that's it. The money will hopefully come later, but you need the audience first. And also, just on that note, and this isn't something I've done, but it's something I can imagine lots of people doing. Don't sign any deals with like stream teams or affiliates or things like that. I think when you're very small, you're going to be worth very little to the company, so they're going to offer you very little, and you don't want to undervalue yourself. You want to make sure that you're worth a lot to those companies. So wait until you're actually worth a lot, so then you can start getting deals that are worth thousands of dollars rather than getting deals that are worth like $20 or, you know, a free pair of headphones. Try to hold out on that, because if you sell out really, really early, I'm you know, all for selling out eventually. That doesn't seem like a terrible thing, as long as it's, you know, for something where you're not having to go back on your principles or your morals or anything. But don't do it for something that's not worth much to you, because that's just going to ruin your career. Basically, you're going to end your career. Where I think whenever you start taking money from companies in exchange for some part of your stream, putting their logo on your stuff or mentioning them all the time. That's kind of you saying, this is the level I'm happy to be at. And I think that's a mistake to do that early on. So now some more positive things just to end the video. There's like 6 things here that I think I've done that are really good and have helped me a lot. So first one, invest in a decent microphone. This is a Blue Yeti and I think it's brilliant. You can get away with a cheaper one. Like, it's really good microphones for like £100, but audio is more important than anything else. Lots of people just listen to my streams rather than watching them, just listen to me talking and chatting in the background. The voice quality is much more important than the visual quality. So spend your money on a microphone if you're going to spend it on anything. Second thing is learn how everything works. Like, there's lots of guides that sort of say, here, download this and we'll do it for you, or just follow these instructions and it'll all work. Try to make sure you understand what you're doing, because then when stuff goes wrong or you want to customize something, you'll actually understand how to fix it. Now, this especially applies to OBS. Don't just follow someone else's guide to their settings. Make sure you understand those settings and why they've done the things they've done. So then when something goes wrong, you can fix it quickly. Or if you want to make a change, you can make a change that actually makes sense to you. Third thing, care about your community. This seems a little bit trite, but it's true. Remember people's names, ask them how their day is, and actually read what they say and remember it. If you remember stuff about people, it really helps them when they come back. They want to sort of talk to you more, starts building up a relationship, and it makes the whole thing way more fun. Sometimes I've only got like 10 people watching, and if all of them are chatting and they say hi to each other when they come in and stuff like that, that makes streaming way more like hanging out with friends, and it's way more fun. If you've got like 40 people watching you, but no one's talking, it's going to be rubbish. It's going to be horrible. So don't ignore people. Try to get involved with them. The next one, don't tolerate intolerance. Now, there's this cool story I saw on Twitter a while back where there's a guy went to a bar, super like quiet bar, no one really talking. Barman looked really angry like some barmen do. And then this customer turns up who seems really well dressed, seems really nice and friendly, asks for a drink, and the barman tells him to get the hell out. And then the customer's like, oh, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't know what I've done to offend you, but like, I'm not going to cause any trouble. I just wanted a drink. Super polite. And the barman's like, nope, get out. So the customer leaves. And the guy who's telling the story is like, hey, so what's going on, to the barman? And the barman says, I saw a swastika tattoo on his finger. And it doesn't matter how nice he was or how polite he was. If I let him drink here and he enjoys it, he's going to go tell his friends. He's going to hang out here more and they're going to start turning up. And then before you know it, you've got a Nazi bar. And then it's really hard once you've got a group of people associating your bar with Nazis. Other people aren't going to want to turn up. All your customers will become Nazis and you're never going to be able to get rid of them. So you have to have zero tolerance straight away. That applies to streaming as well. And your comments, YouTube, your whole community online. Don't tolerate intolerance. If there's people who are hateful, get rid of them quickly, because they will find somewhere else to go, I'm sure, and you don't need them. It's much better that you build a sort of inclusive and cheerful, happy, positive community, because that's going to be a place where more people want to hang out in. You need to get rid of all those hateful people very quickly. Just never pretend that you'll accept it just because you're so desperate for an extra viewer. You're going to accept someone who's like homophobic or someone who's racist or spreading racist memes in your chat. Just don't accept it at all. The next one is collaborate with people on your level. When people talk about networking, they always assume that it means you're going to have to like go get Shroud to play with you or something. There's no point in that, because it's not going to happen. And even if it did happen, people are going to watch Shroud. They're not going to watch you. Instead, try to find people who are about the same level as you, people with about the same number of viewers as you, who are doing things who are kind of similar to you. Maybe they have similar audiences to you. And, check them out, support them, talk to them, ask them how they're doing, help them out when you can, like retweet their stuff or like advertise their stream stuff, hang out with them, because this will sort of help you to build a bigger community kind of together. And then when they get a bigger audience, that's going to help you too, because there'll be a lot of crossover. And it's even better if you don't stream at the same time as them, if you've got kind of slightly different time zones, because then obviously when they're streaming, sometimes I'll go online and like Jean War Machine will be streaming, and rather than streaming, I'll be like, actually, I'll just go hang out in her chat for a while, hang out in her chat, then when her stream gets towards finishing, if she's finishing anyway, I'll be like, oh yeah, I might go play some Call of Duty, and then some of those people will come over to my one and help out, and the same thing will happen, if I'm finishing a stream and then I see she's online, I'll like do a raid or send people over that way. And things like that really massively help build a community. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot less lonely doing it when you know there's other streamers who are going through the same stuff you are. So really try to support other people who are about the same size as you. don't worry too much about the massive ones. Don't beg for raids from them. That's not going to help you. Instead, try to support people who are around the same size as you, and hopefully they'll support you back. Then the last thing is try every type of content you can think of. I've often been really surprised about which videos work and which videos don't, which stream types work and which ones don't. People follow me on Instagram all the time. I get like an extra couple of followers a day, even though I basically post nothing on there, especially nothing to do with games. I normally post pictures of like swans and stuff. Right now I've got Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, a merch store, subreddit, podcast, and Discord. Not all of those are popular, not all of those are successful, but they're there, and if one of them takes off, I'll be able to make the most of that opportunity. Try to do as many different things as you can, and then keep on sort of paying attention to what works and what doesn't, and then you'll be able to focus on the really successful stuff later on. But all of this stuff's like free, and it doesn't actually require that much time to set up all of those different things. So just try as many different things as you can, and try to make as many different types of videos as you can, and as many different types of streams as you can. Stream all the games you enjoy. You might be surprised at what makes you an audience. I started streaming The Crew 2 the other day, and suddenly got a load more viewers who never would have watched me if I hadn't have decided to play The Crew once. So just try different things. So altogether, that's basically all the advice I can think of to give people who are just starting out with content creation. If you've got any other questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer as many as I can. Come check me out on Twitch. I always chat to people then. You can ask me anything. I'm always answering questions then. I'm Geeky Pastimes on Twitch. And basically, all the best and good luck with whatever you're doing. If you want to leave any sort of links to your channels and your stuff like that, just for this one YouTube video, I'll let you spam them. So in the comments, if you want to put a link to your channel and say what the sort of thing that you do is, what makes you special, what have you learned from this video, that's absolutely fine. Okay? So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.